A museum curator is the point person for every exhibit that the public sees in a museum. Whether an art museum, history museum, natural science, or even a race car museum, the curator must have a curious mind, a trained eye, and a mastery of many diverse skills, often including world languages. Justin Kronwetter is a professor of fine arts and director of the Ross Art Museum at Ohio Wesleyan University.
A curator is an individual that comes up with ideas for exhibitions and then figures out how they can put into action the exhibition that they have thought up.
A museum curator always has a finger on the pulse of the museum.
I solve problems, many of which, if not most of which, we couldn't anticipate in advance. But that just comes with the territory. My primary responsibility as the director of the museum is to arrange exhibitions that coordinate with the curriculum of the Fine Arts Department and also, in one way or another, interface with various programs that we have on campus.
Art exhibits don't just happen, they take planning, and the curator is at the heart of the operation. Often a museum offers multiple exhibits per year.
Most of what we do here in the museum is planned 2 or 3 years in advance. In order for us to mount the type of work that we do, which is primarily professional art, we're having to schedule with the artists, as I said, 2 or 3 years in advance.
So what kind of academic preparation and life experience does it take to become an art museum curator?
A curator needs to understand the breadth of history of art and all of the different periods. And so art history is something that I would have taken more of in high school and certainly in my undergraduate and graduate studies. I learned the importance of reading. I learned the importance of going to museums. And one other thing I would mention to young people. I, unfortunately, am not bilingual. I think it's incredibly important for young people to become bilingual, particularly if you're going to go into a job like I now occupy, because it entails, in many cases, it entails at the highest level, travel around the world.
As a student, Katie Beach realizes how important learning other languages is to prepare for a career as a curator.
I feel like I've heard my whole life in Europe it's very common for people to learn multiple languages, and I think that interconnection across the world is increasing rapidly.
For Katie, the idea of becoming an art curator grew out of her fine arts education and a unique real-world opportunity.
I've taken art classes my whole life. I'm from Columbus, and we have Columbus College of Art and Design there, and so I have been trained in art my whole life leading up to this. But I never thought that I would go into, or really would be interested in the museum aspect of it. I never thought about it, and that's really common for artists. I was lucky enough to be in Justin Kronwetter's gallery management class the previous year, my freshman year, and he invited 6 of the students in the class to go out to New Mexico to curate an exhibition. In class, the extent of what we'd done, I'd say, was just like hanging the works and having to attend lectures, meeting the artists there, but when we actually went out, having to go to their studios and interview them essentially and talk with them about their works and select the pieces, that was a whole other beast.
It's important for an art museum curator to know everything there is to know about an artist and the artwork a museum exhibits. So beyond the internet, art catalogs and books, how does a curator research the art and artists to exhibit?
In almost every case, it's important for the curator to make a studio visit to the artist's studio to actually see the artwork. And interestingly enough, as a curator, I wouldn't be in that studio looking at their artwork if I wasn't already familiar with and interested in the artwork on the front side of the framed work. I'm also interested in what the back of it looks like. What are the hanging devices? How much does something weigh? How am I going to be able to get this on the wall in a responsible and efficient way?
And once an exhibit is set, the curator's job is just beginning. designing the exhibit space, arranging for shipment, preparing the walls and floor space, publicizing and marketing the exhibit.
In addition to that, then making arrangements for the artists to come to campus. Do we have to fly them here? Will they drive here? And one of the primary reasons that an artist visits a campus of our type is to interact with the students. So then creating a situation where the students have access to the artist is yet another part of the organization that goes on.
Knowing art, finding art, exhibiting art, interacting with artists, critics, and the art-loving public.
That's just the life of a curator.